Normally, I start off these Emerald City Hockey post games asking, "How's it going, everybody?" Right? That's usually my opener. Probably have a pretty good idea of how it's going for everybody because you all had to watch that same game that I did, and it was not great. It was not great at all. This was a tough one for the Seattle Kraken. They get shut out 4-0 in Minnesota just one night after the fantastic game that they had yesterday with the comeback against Chicago, maybe giving us some false hope just in the sense that, hey, just yesterday, just one brief 24 hours ago, the Kraken were, in a similar situation. They allow a couple goals early to the Blackhawks. They fall down that first period. They don't look that great, but you know what? They start turning around. They start getting shots on goal. Obviously, Adam Larson gets that one late, and then they come out in the second, and they're able to just really kind of take off. And unfortunately, that did not happen tonight. They just were not able to kind of get going. They were able to reverse some things. They were able to get some shots on goal. They did start to get some prolonged time in the offensive zone, but they just could not beat Philip Gustafsson tonight. They just could not get on the board. And with that, they fall to 0-11 in these back-to-back games. Oh, it's tough. It's tough. This one was a tough one for sure. Now, what was not tough about it and what made this game at least memorable for me and for hopefully everybody else who was there is that this was the first of our watch parties at Queen Anne Beer Hall. There we go. It's mirrored. There we go. At Queen Anne Beer Hall. Had a fantastic time there at the beer hall with everybody who was able to come out. We had 4 full tables of people show up. Lots and lots of people. I know RJ got the big group shots. We'll be sharing those on social media a little bit later on this evening. He's still there hanging out with everybody through the end of this one. But it was a fantastic watch party at Queen Anne Beer Hall. I left during the second intermission to get back and be able to do post game with everybody here. But it was a little, it was at least we were able to all be together. Misery loves company and all of that for this one down there at the beer hall. But yeah, otherwise this was a tough game. Light with the super chat, appreciated. Light. Shane with 1954 of ice time. I thought they deserved better than a shutout. That late call blows my mind. Glad this helps draft position. Yes, I see lots of comments in here. I think the best one is probably from Stacy. This duds for you, Team Tank. Yes, this is definitely one. If you're on Team Tank, you're appreciating this one. Shane Wright with the 1954 of ice time. Super significant for him. I think that, obviously this comes from Chandler Stevenson leaving the game. Not exactly clear what happened to Chandler Stevenson. Definitely couldn't really see it at the beer hall if there was anything, but it sounds like there just really wasn't much. All we've gotten from Kraken PR is that he was, out and not going to return. No designation on where the injury may be. We, of course, have been down this road before. We know tonight after the game, we're probably not going to get any real info. Maybe Dan will give one of the media members there some sort of upper or lower body designation, but I think that's really realistically the most that we could expect to see. But with Stevenson going down, with Chandler Stevenson going down and leaving this game, Shane Wright really stepped up and ate up a bunch of minutes. Dan Bylsma had zero problem throwing Shane Wright out there, especially with his team needing offense down the stretch. And Shane Wright was definitely the guy that he was going to see if they can turn things around, as he picks up just shy of 20 minutes in this one, leading the forward group in ice time for this one. I mean, almost playing more than some defensemen, played more than 3 defensemen on the team as well. So it was nice to see, Dan trust Shane in a game like this one. It wasn't just that they were up a bunch like yesterday, and so you can give that lower line some more shifts. Dan was like, no, we need to get back in this game. Shane, you're playing. You're going out there. You're eating up a lot of these minutes in replacement of Chandler Stevenson. So that, I think, is still a positive takeaway from this game. The coaching staff does trust Shane in that situation. It wasn't just like they were going to double shift Maddie, double shift Jared McCann, move him up the lineup, make Shane 3C. They very much made Shane Wright part of the game plan as they were trying to get back into this one. So that, I think, was good to see. As for the late call, I did miss that while I was trying to get back home. So I see everybody talking about it, but I don't know what actually happened there. So forgive me on that one, Light. And then the Mark cast with the super chat. It was great seeing you at Queen Anne Beer Hall. Disappointing game, but super great to see everybody tonight at the meetup at Queen Anne Beer Hall. Truly a testament to what you guys have built. Really appreciate that. And again, it was fantastic being able to talk with you and see you as well as everybody and hang out with everybody at the beer hall. Really drove home how how missed it was that we haven't been able to put together one of these watch parties yet this season and go and hang out with everybody there. And it was just such a great crowd. Everybody had a fantastic time. Love when we see the community all come together. Everybody starts talking to each other, getting to know each other, getting to know each other's faces based off of their names on Discord or on the chats here during the post games. It's always a really cool thing to see. And yeah, we don't often talk about like the community and our spot in it, building it up, but in those moments you really do kind of reflect on that and you think like, wow, look at all these people and they're all here because they've come together because of what RJ and I have been doing, and that's really cool. So appreciate the super chat there, Mark Cast. The tank train chugs onwards. There's the Kraken I know and love. This was kind of the first dud really that they've had since everything had changed, since post trade deadlines, since post players meeting. I guess, do we just chalk this up to they had a bad 5 minutes to start a game and then they just, second half of back to back? Like, is that what it is? Because it really is tough. I want to say like, oh, they weren't consistent tonight, right? They lost 4-0. They get shut out, all of that stuff. They weren't consistent, but they also weren't that inconsistent either. I mean, we've seen this Kraken team start games off bad, like this one, and it just kind of continue from there. That didn't really happen in this one, but we've also seen the Kraken start poorly and then really come on as the game goes by, just like yesterday. And this wasn't really that either. I'm leaning towards saying this was their first non-consistent game since the players meeting and since the trade deadline. But like it's not as bad as what we've seen from this club before. That being said, the defense that was played during the first 4 minutes and 29 seconds of this game, especially in that 2-minute stretch that the Wild were able to score 3 goals. That was some brutal defense, up there with some of the worst defense that we've seen from this team all season. Five players out there, none of them really communicating with each other. Guys were going after different players' assignments. They weren't sticking to their assignments. There was just wide open gaps left down the middle. They were just doing nothing to slow down Minnesota's transition game coming through the neutral zone. There was just really none of the stuff that we'd been seeing that really had improved about this team defensively was apparent in this one at all. This was just a game in which the Kraken came out and they just forgot everything defensively for 4.5 minutes. And it's just, this is what happens when you do that at the NHL level. I was really hopeful coming into this game because Minnesota is missing so many players that this was going to be one where the Kraken were really going to have a shot against them, or at least this game was going to be close. It was going to be competitive because Minnesota's missing like their entire top line, right? Like they're just missing so many guys. And unfortunately, it just did not work out this way, unfortunately. JTB Hockey with the super chat. Appreciate all the super chats tonight. Really do. Being at the game tonight, I can say Shane skated hard and his effort was there. Just a brutal start to the game. Have a great night, everyone. Hope you still had a good time at the game, JTB. I really do. It's kind of a weird one where you get a lot of action early on and then nothing the entire rest of the game. So I hope you still had a good time. Appreciate the super chat. And yeah, Shane Wright is definitely one of those players that's never going to give up. Already talked about why, that seems like he was the guy that Dan was really going to lean on after Chandler Stevenson leaves the game. And he certainly was playing nearly 20 minutes this evening, which is great to see for him. Like I said, that is still a pretty big positive takeaway to take out of this game, despite the fact that everything else was rough in this one, as everybody's kind of talking about here in chat. Jeremy, felt like the Kraken were just not interested in playing a game tonight at all. Like I said, I felt like they did a good job of pushing back and getting shots and those kinds of things later on, but they were just not ready for this one to start. That's for sure. Like they did not start on time at all in this one. Jenna, I could only get the radio broadcast tonight. What was the problem? Defense grew, offsides, all of the above. defense for the goals against that first little bit. Like I already kind of just touched on it, but defensively, those were all brutal breakdowns. Like there was whether it was breakdowns through the neutral zone, allowing the Wild to get on the rush, or it was just leaving guys in the slot wide open. Like I think of the Ryan Hartman goal that kind of kicked things off, and it was just there's just a bunch of space for Ryan Hartman to step up into and get a good shot. Like this is one of those where I don't think it's really on Grubauer. Maybe you want him to get one. I saw somebody on Discord had said that. Like you'd love if your goalie saves one of those three, but realistically, you can't really pin them on him. This one was definitely one where it was the defense in this one. Cole, if you ignore 142 of the game, then it wasn't so bad. Exactly. That's why I was kind of having a hard time placing. Is this really a rough game for the Kraken? Were they inconsistent, or was it just maybe a couple of minutes that was bad and that was all? It is tough. And I like see Kimper. That was rough. It is rough. It was a rough game just because, obviously that happens at the beginning. Like I said, the Kraken like sort of answer or try to stage an answer if that's probably more accurate. Just couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. And uh I just don't know what to totally make of it. And look, just to be honest, like it was a boring hockey game. Like it's just a bad hockey game at that point because just nothing was going on at all there. There just really wasn't. Um Zach, not what I thought Shane Wright 20 minutes time on ice would feel like. If not for the tank, this would be horrific. It was definitely it was a really bad game. It was just a bad hockey game. Like forget about the Kraken and anything like that. It was just a bad hockey game. Bia, now we'll never beat the back-to-back curse this season. RIP. It really is this year's version of last year's Saturday home game curse. It was. This is just the year in which they cannot do it. They cannot win back-to-back games. And that was it. That was it. There was just nothing else. There was just nothing else. Sean, that was garbage, but no joke. I thought that was some of Newman's best 5-on-5 work since being up. Yeah, it was hard to kind of zero in on certain players while at the watch party just because trying to walk around, trying to make sure I talk to everybody, try to make sure that everybody gets feels like they got heard and everything. Want to make sure everybody feels welcome. After making the sacrifice of coming out and seeing us and everything. And so I wasn't totally able to dial in on Yanni Newman. There was a couple of shifts though that I did notice him being part of the cycle game 5-on-5 in the offensive zone. I did like those moments from him. I thought that he was doing a better job this game specifically of picking up his head and trying to scan the ice when he had the puck. Usually it was when the Wild gave him time and space. He's still like when he's like trying to go through traffic or has somebody really on him, he's not quite there yet. But again, we're like 5 games into his NHL career. That's fine. But I did feel like this was the first game where it felt like he was really trying to break out of just the confines of this is my regimented cycle. This is what I do. I have my head down and I'm just going to the place where I'm supposed to be. And he was kind of starting to become, more comfortable, more of an NHL player, somebody who could be a little bit more creative in those situations. And he wasn't necessarily able to necessarily get anything going off of those, but it was still nice to see him behave that way and start to look more confident and comfortable attempting things like that. And I think that that's a great first step. So I am with you in that sense, Sean, that this was a good game for Yanni Newman. Huge super chat here from Kitty B Kraken. Really appreciate this one. Kitty B Kraken with the massive one. Thanks RJ, Dylan, and Queen Anne Beer Hall for the great watch party, even during not such a great game. Some of us had to be there in spirit only. Anytime left for RJ to be checking in from the hall. It's about 50-50 on whether or not RJ is going to join from the hall. I have sent him an email link. We're going to see if he joins. Obviously, still spending time with everybody that showed up to the watch party and making sure everybody there gets that wonderful RJ FaceTime that everybody wants and everything like that. So we will see if RJ joins us from the hall for a little bit and kind of to get his read on this game as well. But really appreciate the super chat there, Kitty B Kraken. And yes, got to get you up for a watch party at some point. It would be great to be able to experience that with you and have you around for it. I think you'd really enjoy it. Let's see here. Daniel, this is the kind of game where Oliver Bjorkstrand would have gotten the only goal, and now he's not here. This does feel like one of those Oliver Bjorkstrand games where he just comes through, gives us a nice little something something, and then heads out and everything. I am with you there. I'm with you there. That does feel about right for sure. Burton Crime with the super chat. As they said, between the second and third, Kraken down 3-zip. It took Kraken 11 minutes to hit somebody with meaning. Called the team and organization soft. Hard to hear, but not untrue. Yeah. So we actually got a text from somebody that was like, wow, this national broadcast is really not holding back on the Kraken there. So I don't know what was said. Obviously, he was talking with people, doing giveaways and things during the intermissions at the watch party. So I don't know exactly what was said, but yes, it did sound like they kind of called out the team for not coming out stronger after the two intermissions, right after the first intermission, and then certainly after that second one. I do think that that's appropriate, right? Like we've talked about this. Obviously, you played a game yesterday, but that's not a huge excuse. Like that's just built into schedules. You've had 11 back-to-backs this year. Like it's just part of the job. You know what I mean? I just think that yeah, there's just not a lot of physicality on this team. We've talked about there not being a lot of size in the forward group. What a big difference somebody like Capo Caco makes there, just with his size, which is not really that above average for the NHL. It's just above average on this Seattle Kraken team. So we know what kind of difference maker he can be doing that. We know what Yanni Newman has been able to do and how kind of difficult he is to deal with for opposing teams' defense. He's still not even strong yet, but just the fact that he has that size to push his way to the net front, and then they have to really commit to move him out of there. Yes, they're moving him out of there, but still they're having to commit a player to that. It is something where, yeah, the Kraken just need to find a way to get either layout hits to get the team going and build momentum, and hopefully then offense and everything comes from there, or at the very least just be tougher to play against. And I think that that's been one of the problems for them this season, is that they're just not a hard team to play against, right? Like it's one thing if you're going to, beat them, if you're going to be a team that is going to be looking at picking top 5 in the draft, but at least make the other team really earn it. And the Kraken did a decent job of that through this one. Like they were able to shut things down and they got their act together defensively after the first 5 minutes. But really, if you're a tough team to play against, teams can't get away with a lot of the stuff that they've gotten away with against this Kraken team this season. And I do feel like that has been a missing element for this. I think it's something that it wouldn't surprise me if the front office tries to address it this upcoming off season, in addition to trying to address everything else, like trying to find a top tier player, somebody who can help really create offense and everything like that. But I do wonder if we start to see more of a fourth line that's going to be a tough fourth line to play against, a third pairing defensively that's going to be a tough pairing to go up against defensively, just to have a little bit more grit in the lineup, not to play a full grit style game, but just enough that's there so that if the game starts to go in that direction, or if you need somebody to go out there and lay out a hit with meaning, as you put it, they have somebody who can do that, because I really do think that is something that they're missing right now. Wisconsin Kraken fan, appreciate the super chat. Got to ask, since I put it in the Discord earlier, what's your favorite soup? I'm not a huge soup guy. Haven't really been. I guess I would go with like a spicy ramen, but I do it like literally just noodles and broth. Like don't give me veggies, don't give me anything like that. I just want noodles and broth. The Shin spicy ramen, that's for me. I love it. The package with like the mushroom and everything, I can just toss that and I just get broth and noodles. That's the way I roll. That's the way I roll. So sorry, I'm the worst person in the world to ask for food takes, but anybody who's been around for a minute definitely knows that that is the case. Curious Charisma, those 2 minutes they scored hurt to watch. They were really rough, and it was just because it just kept happening. And it's another one where, defensive breakdowns happen. They happen to all teams. How do you deal with it? How do you respond to it? And this year, the Kraken just haven't dealt with those or responded to them all that well. Like they eventually did in this one. like I said, the bleeding stopped, and you were able to stop it pretty early in the game, and then it never really came up again. But how does it not stop after the first goal? How does it not stop after the second goal? Like, you need to find some way of being able to go out there and change the tide of a game. And they just have not had that this year, at least not until they can get to, say, like a TV timeout or something like that, and kind of escape from it. And now, a third party is essentially removing that momentum and energy out of the game because everybody has to stop. The Kraken aren't good at forcing other teams to stop what they're doing. They kind of just have to survive long enough until something else can pull that energy away, and that's something that needs to kind of get worked on moving forward. Alan, the effort was fine. The last call was absolutely egregious. Um, unless everybody's talking about the Montour Zuccarello thing, which, that's fine. Like, refs, I think, just trying to take trying to take care of the game a little bit there. Montour probably doesn't have to ride Zook all the way into the boards the way that he does. But like I said, it sounded like there was maybe a different like a different situation there. Different, I don't know, a different play that everybody was referring to. I really wish I had seen it. Daniel asking, are we done with the back-to-backs? Jeremy answering, one more back-to-back. It's gonna be tough. Definitely. And Viren, playing the Wild is always either boring or horrifying. This was both. It was horrifying, and then it was extremely boring afterwards. I will definitely give you that. Postal Light, I sadly couldn't go, but I heard from my mom it was fun. Yes, it was. Shame you couldn't be there, but it was a good time, and maybe you can catch the next one. But yeah, no, it was good. And as Lindsay's pointing out, beignets to mask the pain. Those were very good. Thank you for sharing with me, Lindsay. I do appreciate that. It did help mask the pain a little bit in there. I will definitely agree with you there. Let's see, Viren, I look forward to hearing why 1954 was still not enough. It was plenty. It was plenty. Like I said, I think that was good. Mason, something about NHL refs and national broadcasts. They love to show off their incompetence on the biggest stages. What happened? What happened? I need to know now. This is killing me. I'm sure everybody's already put it in chat too, so I need to just pick things up and get down there and see it. Let's see, Stratic, what was your favorite goal of the season so far? You're killing me. I got asked that at the game on stage with a mic shoved in my face, and I had nothing. RJ answered beautifully with the Brandon Montour 4-second goal. I just feel like if I answer with something, it's just going to be something recent, and I won't really have thought of everything. And I don't know. I don't know. I like when the Kraken have like a plan and they go out there and they're able to execute the plan, and they like are creative and they make something happen. I like when guys fight through to the net front and they're able to get a goal that way. Like, but those happen throughout the course of a season. Like, I don't know that there was one that really like captured my imagination in that way. Unfortunately, I'm really bad about this. I apologize. Dave with the super chat. Appreciate this, Dave. Nice super chat here. Nice big one from Dave. Cheers to you, RJ, and the ECH community for what sounded like an awesome watch party. Dylan, hope you enjoyed your pretzel. Did you get a chance to eat their wings? I did get a chance to eat the Beer Hall wings. Beer Hall Buffalo wings are fantastic. Definitely recommend those on Wing Wednesdays, just like our next watch party will be over at the Moss Bay Hall location. And yes, definitely enjoyed the pretzels. Appreciate everybody kind of just letting me pick off of everybody's pretzels, just kind of rip a chunk off of a pretzel here or there as I made my way through all the different tables. So appreciate that from everybody who let me participate in binging on their pretzels. That was good. Let's see. Sarah had a great time, and I get to go to the Kraken versus Dallas game. That's awesome, Sarah. Glad that the tickets are going to you there. From everything there, that was absolutely awesome. That is cool. Yeah, I had a great time talking with everybody. I don't think I was able to be at that table too much, but I know RJ spent some time with you all down there. So I apologize for that. I'll get you next time. It's always tough when there's 4 tables and you're trying to rotate all around. Bird Creme, when the national media tells you this team is soft all game long, they saw what we have known. Yeah, I guess it's really interesting because normally we're used to the national media not really talking that much about the team, right? Like that's kind of usually what kind of happens in there. So that's intriguing. This is intriguing. Terrible Lotus, how many people were there? I don't have an exact head count, but it was a decent amount. Like I said, RJ should be posting like the group photo and everything. It was a lot of people though. It was a very very healthy watch party. Again, thanks to everybody who was able to make it. Like they called penalties on both teams after Monty was interfered with on a zone entry, rammed into the boards, then held down, which is him doing roughing apparently. Okay, so it was the Montour thing. It's kind of like a blowout late game scenario there. That's kind of how refs handle those. Like whether it's right or not, I understand refs kind of handling it that way and giving both both teams both teams the call there. Like if it was just that Zuccarello Montour thing, I don't know that I would consider that egregious. I just don't think I would. I just think Montour stays on Zuccarello longer than he needs to. Looks like he kind of gets him into a headlock as they go into the boards, and then Zook goes in head first into the boards. I understand. And then they they're together and intertwined for a little while there. I understand why you would just give both guys roughing given that scenario, given how much time is left in the game, given the score, and just given what occurred there. Like Montour did not need to ride him all the way into the boards head first like that. Like he just didn't. I will push back on that one, and that's just the way I feel about it. Let's see, Kylie. It's annoying the games that are nationally broadcast tend to be stinkers. Doesn't help out the image. It does not help out the image. I will definitely give you that. Definitely give you that. The Kraken could realistically lose 7 in a row here. Unlikely, but there are no truly bad opponents for a while from Striatic. That is true. I mean, this is definitely one where it's a tough stretch ahead. I think law of averages, they're going to find a way to get one, maybe 2 of those games just because it is hockey after all. You never know what could happen. But yes, we're going to go into a really tough stretch where we could see some bad hockey. I want the Kraken to just come out, play hard, play tough, play with some effort and energy, right? I really don't care about the results that much, right? We know losses technically help them. I don't really care win or lose. I just want to see the team come out and continue to play with effort. I don't want them to kind of lose what they've had the previous 6 games moving forward. I want that to continue through the rest of the season. I want them to finish the season strong from that effort energy standpoint and hopefully carry that over into next year, because next year when you're going to be trying and those games are going to matter again starting in October, I want them to have that consistent effort. I want them to be playing full 60s and getting back to that team that we knew from previous seasons. I really want to see that. And so the wins, losses, whatever down the stretch, they can lose all 7 of those. But if all 7 of them are close, competitive hockey games, I will absolutely take that. And I think that that's realistically probably where most Kraken fans are with all of this. Viren, going into tonight, the league overall had a point percentage of 450 on the second half of back-to-backs. So, being not great on back-to-backs, kind of par for the course there league-wide. Obviously, us being 0-11 is a little below that league average, though. Just a smidgen. Let's see. Where is the next one here? Everybody, kind of talking about this. There's still one more chance from Zoe. We still have one more back-to-back. That is true. We definitely have that one more. We can go 1-12. We can definitely, or 1-11. Yes. Zoe put in there. Yes. We can in fact do that. And it's going to be LA Kings into the Utah Hockey Club. That's gonna be a little bit. That's a tough one. Just a little bit. Let's see. Let's see. Just lots of the same kind of stuff here. Let's see. Kylie, I mean, we just had a string of entertaining games. Won or lost. The stinker was inevitable. Just wish it wasn't on a nationally broadcast one. I agree with that. Like it makes sense why this one happened when it happened. It's just, yes, it is unfortunate that it had to happen in front of everyone. Now, I guess on the flip side, game really didn't start until 7:00 Pacific time. I don't know nationally how many people really watched this game. So there is, I guess, that if we need to. And then Mason, wait, RJ does FaceTimes. Is that another level of Patreon that we don't know about? Yes, that's the super secret FaceTime one. FaceTime tier. Nobody knows about that. Sean, I was told by a Chicago friend that the Chicago local was calling out the Kraken last night as well. Like it or not, this is how this team is viewed nationally. Not just soft, but disappointing. I could certainly see some certain regions definitely definitely feeling that way. Like I can definitely see that. I could see people in Chicago kind of pointing that stuff out. Like again, I don't think that like it's like the NHL used to be where you need an entire roster of guys that are going to be physical, that are going to answer the bell, they're going to answer the call, they're going to go out there and they're going to beat up guys, they're going to forecheck hard, blah 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 blah. All of that kind of stuff. I really don't the game has significantly changed. You do not need that anymore for your entire roster the way that you did back in the day. But you do need a little bit of it. You need somebody who can do it. And, John Hayden is a player who can do it. Ty Karche is a player who can do it. You have Josh Mahura is a guy who can do it. You have guys on this team who can do it, but they're not necessarily the guys that are going to go out there and really take charge of a situation, read the situation, be like, hey, you know what can really help in this spot right now? We just had 2 goals scored on us in like a minute or whatever. Let me go out there and let me try to hit somebody. Let me try to get into a fight. Let me try to do something just to give my team a minute to breathe and catch their breath and recompose themselves. And let me do something that's going to get that other team to have to slow down and focus on something else right now because they're picking us apart. Let me give them somebody else to focus on, because that's essentially what we're talking about here is a player to do that in game. And I do think that the Kraken need that. There is value in that. There is value in having a player or two on the roster that are capable of going out there and doing that and giving the other team a villain to focus on and giving your guys a couple minutes to recompose themselves, regroup, and get their stuff together. And I think that the Kraken have players that are capable of doing that, but I don't know that they have players where that is their identity, where they're really dialed in. They recognize those situations. They understand what they have to do in those situations, and then they go out there and they do it. That I think is something that they don't do, and that is something that I think that they, I would not hate if they added a 4th liner next year or somebody on the 3rd pairing D that was going to maybe do that for them. Let's see. If the Kraken fail to record a point in the final back-to-back, at least we won't be the only team to do that. The 92 Sharks did it too. I didn't look further than that. Oh my gosh. That's expansion team Sharks, right? Like that's year 1, I believe, right? There's 91. It's not good company to be in. That was a bad team. Like expansion teams used to be really bad. That is really, really tough. That is really tough. Let's see. They called him out for how they came out in Chicago too. Also somehow also called Jaden Schwartz the captain from Amanda. That doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me at all. But yeah, like they have struggled with the energy. They've struggled with starting games on time. Like this is not a new new issue for them this season. And yeah, it's I don't think it's fine. I don't think it's that bad for them. I should say that they got called out for it from the national media there. Jenna, I'm not a huge Rig fan either. I don't see the effort and physicality that I want from him. I don't know if that's the vibe in the dressing room we want. Look, I think Big Rig has struggled this season with the new defensive system. I've talked about this before leading up to the trade deadline. Just doesn't feel like he's a good fit for what the coaching staff wants to do defensively. We've talked about this for years. He is just not a physical player. Like just because somebody has size does not mean that they're going to play physically. And he is just one of those guys. He is just not somebody who has ever really played physically, gone out there, laid out big hits, really played aggressive using his body. That's just not really who he is. He uses his size in other ways. He uses his size for leverage a lot, board battles. Nobody really gets past him, but beneath the goal line, behind the net, he's really good at using his size there just to pin people down or be, just a great roadblock to kill a play that's trying to use that back of the net area. He also uses his size beautifully when he's in the offensive zone at puck protection and being able to work himself down low into the offensive zone with the puck because he has that size. He really understands how to use it there. He's never been a physical presence. This is something when I was going back through the Hockey News draft previews and then all the Future Watch issues tracking him as a prospect. Dallas was constantly on him as he was coming up through their system, 18, 19, 20, all the way to 22 years old. They wanted him to be more physical given his size. It's just not who he is. And I think that that's fine. I don't think he has to be a physical player, but it's just, it's just who he is. Like, this is who he is. This is who he always has been, even previous to the Kraken. I think the bigger issue is just that he doesn't fit the defense that the Kraken want to run right now. And so I think that's more of a reason to look into maybe moving him this upcoming offseason, is just because you generally defensively, you want to have guys that feel comfortable in the system that you're running in. Let's see. Angela Bug, there was an interview with Alexiak really early in the Kraken's first season in which he said something about physicality not being something I'm known for, and it's still true. Yes, like I said, this is just it's just who he is. He has always been. It's what he's always been. And I'm not going to fault somebody for not choosing to play physically. It's just, you do you. It got him to the NHL not playing physically. He can still be a valuable defenseman in this league, playing just in different ones, different systems. So I'm not going to get on somebody for not being physical and not putting their body through that and needing to take painkillers and all of that stuff. Like, I just can't do it. But I understand that the want for that more physical element, just for this team in general, is there amongst the fan base. And I've already talked about that tonight here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Strat, just pick Yanni Newman's first goal. I know, I could, for my favorite goal of the season. That was the only one that came to mind when I was standing on the bench at Queen Anne Beer Hall, but that felt like a huge cop out too. Like, it just felt like there was no way for me to get out of that question, and I still don't have a way out. That one's just gonna haunt me. Sorry. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Who will win a Stanley Cup first, the Seattle Kraken or the Minnesota Wild? Yikes. I don't know. That one's going to be close. Might be a little while for either one of them. I will definitely say that. Let's see. Sean, Kraken have actually done pretty good on national TV this year, considering everything. Trust me, we and some Wild fans were the only people watching tonight anyway. That I definitely feel like is true. Let's see. Viren. Well, the Kraken are apparently being disrespected out of existence because they don't play like Ryan Hartman. So I guess the Wild. I think there's a difference. I don't know that the national broadcasting, again, I didn't hear what they said, was saying that they had to play like a Ryan Hartman type, that you have to be towing the edge when it comes to taking things too far and maybe going out for some cheap shots to try to do things. Like, that's not what I'm talking about anyway. Like, you can go out there and be physical and lay out a nice, solid, clean forecheck hit and change the dynamics of a game without having to play like Ryan Hartman, without having to toe that line of what is okay, what's going to get suspended. Am I going to put somebody at more risk than they already are in just playing the sport of hockey? And so I do want to make that clear. Like, when I talk about them needing this physical element, when I talk about them needing a player to step up and do things like that, I don't mean that they need somebody like a Ryan Hartman or I'm trying to think of like other people in that similar vein, right? Somebody who's going to be like, I'm just thinking of past players like a Rafi Torres type guy. I don't know why I can only think of players who aren't in the league anymore right now, but there's plenty of them, and we've gone up against them. And I don't think that they necessarily need somebody like that. But if, say 10 times out of an 82 game season, you're going to find yourself in this spot, you do need somebody to come out there and kind of help get your team going. That being said, you also need to just be better about coming out with more energy out of intermissions. And I think that it sounds like that's also what the broadcast was kind of talking about. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out and play super physical coming out of the intermission. It just means you got to come out and play. And the Kraken are a team that struggles to create offense, and they really struggle to create offense when another team is playing really strong defensively, which is something Minnesota did tonight. And they also struggle to create offense when maybe they're just kind of dragging behind in a game. And so this is where they also need a difference maker offensively, somebody who can just go out there and create something and change that momentum as well. Like that's a very legitimate other way to change momentum, is just to go out there and make some magic happen offensively, get a goal, stop the other team from scoring, force them to play in their defensive zone. Like I would very much take that from the Kraken as well. That's a very other legitimate way of having that same result happen. But the bottom line is the Kraken don't really have somebody on either side of that, whether it's the physical side or the scoring a goal and forcing the offense side. And without having that, you just end up with situations like tonight, and you are going to find yourself in spots where you're going to get called out, and you're not going to be able to you know to come out and do things, change the tide of a game. And that is something that has happened for them. Sometimes it happens. Every so often, some guys step up. Adam Larson yesterday in that Chicago game steps up, scores that goal, changes the momentum of the game. But we just have not seen that often at all. And that's just something that needs to change for next year if they want to play better. Jason just got home from the beer hall, and just about as much interesting hockey related things happened on the walk home as did during the game. Thankful for the ECH community for making the game fun. Appreciate that, Jason. Yes, it was just not a hugely entertaining one. Let's say, if you could sign any star player from any team to a 5-year deal, who would benefit the Kraken the most? From Wisconsin Kraken fan, Connor McDavid, right? Like would be like the easy answer if everybody's on the table. Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon. I mean, these would be the guys that would definitely benefit the Kraken the most. Somebody who can really just take over a game and is just going to decide, hey, we're actually going to win. Like that's actually what's going to happen tonight. Those are guys that are capable of doing that for sure. Definitely. Um, let's see. Everybody has a lot of back-to-back due to the length of the Four Nations break from Sean. Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of them in this one. Looks like the Penguins from Jeremy led the league in the back-to-backs with 13 of them. 10 seems to be the average. So we're kind of right in there with everybody. Jay, do you expect the whole coaching staff to be fired? If not, why? I think because they've only been here one season. Seems like definitely the vibe that we're getting is that Ron Francis will be back. I think the coaching staff's going to be back. I think that they want to, what the coaching staff was trying to do as far as setting up the systems they were trying to set up was a very large overhaul from the previous coaching staff. Things like that tend to take a year. We've talked in the past, special teams, especially, we see large bumps in things like power play percentage from year 1 to year 2 with the coaching staff. So you want kind of continuity in that regard. I think that we're going to see continuity from the coaching staff just for the team as a whole. I think that's something that Ron Francis believes in, and I think he does believe in this coaching staff. And the other big thing is because they're going to have more young players around, and Dan and this coaching staff have proven to do very well with those young players. We've seen them really work with Shane Wright, and Shane Wright looks significantly better over the course of this season as he grows and develops as an NHL player. We've seen them, get Yanni Newman and work with Yanni Newman here, and Yanni Newman's playing NHL games, and he should be an NHLer next year. You're going to have Berkeley Catton up for 9 games, according to Ron Francis, right? You want somebody who can, help those young players, help guide those young players, help them develop into NHL players quickly and painlessly. And that's something that like we didn't always see from the previous coaching staff. Go watch, year 1 with Shane, right? And kind of how that was all handled. I think that's a reason that we're going to see this coaching staff hang around as well. That and the fact that because we saw the coaching change, we can't pin so much of the like effort issues on the coaching staff, because the effort issue remained despite there being a different coaching staff. I just think that a lot of that was kind of player focused and everything there. Now, I do want to take a moment here, real quick, and I want to give some good treats here. Want to thank Chuck and Shannon at the watch party for giving some really nice treats here for Afra, and Junie's here as well. So Junie's going to get one. So I want to do that because they are circling like sharks right now, and it was a rough game. It was a rough time. We could use some watching some dogs enjoyment here. So Afra, why don't you climb on up? Good girl, Afra. Good girl. Yeah, don't steal them. Don't steal them. I'll give them to you. Let me get rid of the overlay real quick. There we go. Got this nice chicken treat for Afra, and we'll give you some ASMR of her eating, maybe. That's what everybody wants, right? That's a good girl. Yep, no, that one's gonna be for Junie. I'll give you another one, but you can go down. Junie up here. And I'm gonna check because Queen Anne Beer Hall is good with dogs, but I wasn't able to bring Afra because I had to run back so quick during everything. But I'm gonna check to see if Moss Bay Hall is good with dogs, and if they are, I'm gonna bring Afra to the next watch party and have her meet everybody, and everybody can spend some time with her, and that should be a lot of fun. Oh, guys, yes, you're good puppies, good puppies. Let's see, Wisconsin Kraken fan. Just wait, next year we won't even remember this season. Yeah. Oh, I mean, hopefully. Let's see. If everyone is back, they better start the season good if they get better players for this system, or they won't be around much longer. Regarding the coaching staff from Sean, that would be another reason why I think the coaching staff might be back, is just because if the front office is going to have heat on it, one of the levers they can pull is to jettison the coach, right? Like that is something that that definitely happens there. So Afra, you want another one? Everybody loves you, Afra. Yes, you're such a good girl. Why don't you come back up? We'll give you another one. Everybody deserves lots of Afra after this game. After this game, I know. Let's go. Let's go. Good treats. Good treats there. Good treats from everybody. Let's see. We build the tank this year. Next year, we fire the Kraken cannon. Exactly. Wisconsin Kraken fan. That's the hope anyway. Mason, it feels unfair to pull Ron Francis right as the prospects he's drafted are hitting the NHL roster. I know business isn't always fair though. I mean, that is definitely part of it. Is it is business and all of that kind of stuff, and like it kind of doesn't matter. I will say this, like GMs are responsible for more than just drafting, right? Like you can be good at drafting and not good at everything else, and that still means the team is struggling and not very good and needs change and needs things to be better. So it's been a very complicated pros and cons list with Ron. I think the drafting and the prospects and what we're seeing from them right now certainly goes in the win column for him at the moment anyway, and it's probably enough for him to hang around and everything. But I do think that it's not necessarily enough to save you, especially because so much of drafting, especially outside of the first round, is not necessarily on the general manager so much as it's really just their scouting staff, and that's something that doesn't necessarily go when a GM gets fired. Just also just so everybody knows, scouting staffs, a lot of times there is a decent amount of people hanging around, going with the next general manager and everything. You'll see a lot of continuity with scouting staff. So don't worry. Like if you love all the second round and later draft picks that the Kraken have made, and there's certainly reason to do that. A lot of the people that are responsible for those players being members of the Seattle Kraken organization very well could still be there, even if the general manager is not there. So that would definitely be something that they can do. Lethal Migraine, $20 million to spend in the summer. Buyout Grubauer for more cap space. Plenty of quality free agents available, or go the offer sheet route and go after somebody like Matthew Nyes and or Rossi, who are RFAs. Yeah, I don't know that like Marco Rossi really solves the Kraken issue. I think he's going to end up playing similar to like Berkeley Catton, who you already have in the system. I like Matthew Nyes. I think if you can go out there and offer sheet him at a price that makes sense and maybe backs the Leafs into a corner, I think that would be good. I think that would be nice for them for sure. But yes, they're going to have cap space. You also have plenty of assets to trade too. Like we really need that one. We really need that. And then Edward, thanks Dylan for not bringing out the doggies a few minutes earlier while I was still on the light rail. I might have missed my stop. Yes, you were very welcome, Edward. And it was great seeing you at the watch party. I always love being able to spend time with you. Like I said, I wish I could spend like the whole time with everybody. So I always feel like I have to apologize for not spending more time with everybody individually at the watch parties, but definitely like to see you. It's good to know. I always wondered how far down org turnover usually reaches. Yeah, it really depends on different situations. Like if a general manager gets fired and then immediately hired by a different organization, it is possible for them to bring over some members of the scouting staff, stuff like that. But generally, when they fire a general manager, it's not always the case that even all the assistant GMs go. I mean, it's not unnormal for them to be like, look, the team needs a change, the organization needs a change, and they fire the general manager, but they like the general vision and direction of the franchise, so they keep one of the assistant GMs, right? Maybe it's the assistant GM who does handle those later draft picks and working with the scouting staff, or it's their analytics guy, right? Or woman. And so you'll see them, go ahead, axe the general manager, but they keep some continuity there. They bring up that assistant GM, everybody below them very much the same, because ownership believes in the direction of the franchise. They just feel like they do need a different person leading them there, captaining the ship, if we're going to stick with Kraken nautical themes. But so there's situations like that. Sometimes you'll get stuff where, yeah, if a GM like immediately gets hired, maybe they'll take like the head of scouting, somebody like that with them. But a lot of times those scouts are under contract with the team, and there's no reason to like buy them out of their contract when they're not responsible for whatever happened, right? So it is very much one of those. Let's see. Mason felt like going with Dan was primary because the extension had to be bought out for Hackstall. Just felt like they fired Hackstall with no plan. I think there definitely was a plan. I think the fact that they interviewed guys like Todd McClellan proved that there was a plan. Like anytime you don't have a coach, you can argue there's no plan, because you're going through the process of interviewing other coaches and trying to find somebody whose vision for the team matches up with yours, or one that they sell you on. Like that is part of the process of interviewing coaches. So I think that's part of it. I think when you fire a coach, or for that matter when you fire a general manager, you don't really have a plan. What you just know is that the current situation isn't working and something needs to change. And then from there, you do the interview processes, you interview new general managers, you interview new head coaches, and then the plan and the vision comes from them coming in and joining the organization and working with you. And that's the huge part of the interviewing process when you're going through that, is hearing their ideas. What direction would you take my franchise in? And then picking the person that you believe in the most, and who kind of sells you on that. So that's the situation there. A lot of times. Let's see, Kylie. Well, at least the hockey guy thought we played relatively well, just no high danger, but we outshot Minnesota each period and overall. Yeah, they did. Like again, they didn't play bad in this one. They just didn't play good enough either. So it's tough. It's tough. Dave with another super chat, though. Definitely want to hit this one. Thank you, Dave. Really appreciate it. Afro and Junior treat are definitely appreciated after that game. So sweet of them, those people, to give you those awesome doggy treats. It really was. And also shout out to Chuck for making the bingo cards for the watch party. That was all Chuck. He showed up with them, brought prizes for the bingo cards too, which was like just so next level. And it really was great, because after that first 5 minutes, when the Minnesota Wild scored the 3 goals, and it was just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Multiple people did mention to us, and this, I think, again, all credit to Chuck on this, mentioned that because they still had the bingo card, like they were still able to focus and pay attention to the game, and it kept them actively engaged, even though the Kraken at that point were really falling apart. And so I think that was also really something cool. We're definitely gonna probably steal that idea from you, Chuck, and kind of do this down the stretch, because it really was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and I like being able to go table by table and see how people were doing with their bingo cards. It was really cool. It was really cool. Jeremy, also, if anybody's still looking for a jersey, NHL Shop has Adidas blanks, both home and away, for $50 with free shipping. That is a fantastic deal. Talked to some people at the watch party. They picked up a couple, or one of each, just because it is such an amazing deal there, for sure. And I don't know, but I would imagine you could still get them customized at like the layer or the Kraken team store, because I don't think that the numbers and lettering and stuff really would have changed from Adidas to Fanatics, or that they would turn away a jersey like that. So don't quote me on that. Don't hold me to that. I like I said, I do not know, but I do. That could be a possibility. I think it would be cool if that's a possibility anyway. In which case, that is good stuff. And then yes, Christian was the one to win the bingo there. And that was really cool. That was really cool. And Alex, online bingo card would be fun for live game commentary. Good intermission topic. Well, yes, it would be. Yes, it would be. That would be cool. Rommel, you can get them customized still. Friend got a Decord one at KCI. There we go. So $50 jersey, then you can go and get it customized. That is fantastic. I love all the W's for Chuck in chat from Dave there. Really appreciate that one. All right, I think that's gonna do it for this post game live. Appreciate everybody for joining me here this evening, especially after a game like that. I know it was a bit of a tough watch, but I appreciate everybody joining. Appreciate all the super chats, especially Dave, and huge shout out to Kitty B Kraken for the big super chat earlier as well. Appreciate all the good conversation with everybody, and then Lindsay, trying to get confirmation of Dan doing smelling salts for my bingo card was the highlight of my night. Lol, it was good. And of course, appreciate Queen Anne Beer Hall for having us, for sponsoring us, and for having us for the watch party. It was so much fun being able to do that with everybody again. It's just such a wonderful venue. The way we were able to have all those tables close together and everything, it just really made it a fantastic time. And love those wings. Those wings were really good. I can still taste them. My fingers still smell like them. The buffalo sauce, it's good. I appreciate that. And of course, the pretzels are just, they're the best. And now that I know they have good beignets, that just takes it up another notch. I'm going to be talking about those for a little while. So just be ready for that coming, everybody there like that. But appreciate you all for joining us. Appreciate everybody who was able to make it to the watch party. And we'll see you all next time.